What's up everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is another recap of the latest episode of Teen Mom 2 star Kailyn Lowry's Baby Mama's No Dramas podcast. In this week's episode, she talks about being snubbed by Maci Bookout and a whole host of other things that you're not going to want to miss out on. So let's start at the very top. Her co-host V talks about how her favorite Teen Mom star is Maci Bookout, even though she doesn't watch Teen Mom OG. She's like, I just like how low-key she is and how hard she works and everything like that. Kail actually guessed that V's favorite would have been Chelsea, but she's like, no, it's Maci. And then the two of them talk about their love for Maci's Things That Matter brand. Kail is like, the clothes are so comfy, I wear them all the time. I actually reached out to Maci about doing a collaboration one day, but she never got back to me. And I'm like, oh my God, Maci actually straight up snubbed Kail. And I'm kind of thinking about like the multitude of reasons why that could be. We all know Kail lives a bit of a train wreck life, and I'm pretty sure that Maci doesn't want to be associated with it, especially with Kail now awaiting trial for allegedly assaulting her third baby daddy, Chris Lopez. It's just not really all that kosher. So I don't blame Maci for not wanting to work with her, but I do have to say that I'm quite surprised that she straight up ghosted her instead of just saying, oh, like, you know, let's try to make it happen, and then never really make it happen. You know what I mean? Later on in the podcast, V revealed that her full name is Vitsave Josette Torres, and she said that she got her name from her dad's sister's middle name because the doctors originally told her parents that she was going to be a boy, so they were prepared with a boy name for her, but not a girl name. They didn't know she was a girl until she was born. They were like, oh crap, what do we name her now? The dad was like, okay, let's give her my sister's middle name. That's a really nice middle name. And so that's how they got it. A funny thing about her is that no one really calls her V in real life. Her nickname around her family and friends is typically Vetsy or Vet. And then Kail talks about her own nickname. She's like, you know what? I prefer to be called Kail. To me, it's a privilege to call me Kailyn. And so I've always been pissed off at MTV for using my full name. They give you a nickname V. They give Joe his nickname Joe. But me, they put me as Kailyn. And I feel like only like my childhood friends or like people I grew up with, whatever, have the right to call me Kailyn. But I'm kind of like, sis, do you even have childhood friends besides that one guy, Mark or whatever his name is? Because I'm pretty sure you swap them out every single season. So let's kind of calm it down a little bit. When it comes to V's daughter's name, she says that her name is Valise and it's a spin on her daughter's name. Personally, whenever I hear the name Valise, I think of valise, which is the French word for suitcase. Then I start thinking about how I'm never going to be packing another suitcase for at least another year with all this pandemic stuff. Then I think about how I've been locked in this apartment for like a month and a half. Then I get a little bit depressed, but that's fine. Moving right along, her middle name is Ava, which I think is super duper beautiful. And V also goes on to talk about how she was once busted with baggies of Mary Jane in her purse on Thanksgiving dinner one year, and her mom was just so pissed at her, and it was like the worst Thanksgiving ever. She claims that it wasn't hers, but then she later admits that she was smoking from the pack with someone else before. So like, you know, it really is semantics at that point. And then at the very end of the podcast, she actually exposes Kail's son Isaac for having a girlfriend. I really want to get you guys' take on this because, you know, it's a little bit controversial. She says, you know, the other day my daughter Vivi came up to me and she said that, you know, I want to tell you a secret, but you have to promise you're not going to tell anybody. So I said, okay, what's the secret? Well, Isaac's got a girlfriend. He told me. And so it's not like just a girl who's a friend, like he's got a girlfriend. And I kind of felt like, oh, V, it's not very nice to put that out there on your like podcast for all these people to listen to. And, you know, especially with that being the first time that his own mom, Kail, actually heard about him having a girlfriend, I was kind of like, Kail took it okay. She was like, oh, like I'm gonna like ask and like, you know, try to get to the bottom of it. But then that kind of goes back to the daughter already asking her to keep it a secret. Now you've got the mom involved who's gonna try and meddle in Isaac's business, which is gonna come back to Vivi. And then of course you've got like, you know, thousands of people listening to the podcast and being overly in his business as well. I was kind of like, damn girl, damn, you didn't have to do the poor kids like that. The conversation then kind of goes on about how, you know, whoever Isaac's future girlfriend is, like when it gets more serious, like, you know, when he's like 16, 17, 18, 19, 28 plus, is going to have so many people to go through because, you know, they're also protective over him. He's got Joe, he's got Kail, he's got V, he's got Vivi. He is just so loved. He's got this little army behind him, but that of course they are going to try to make anyone feel welcome, etc., etc. I normally tell you guys that the episodes are quite good and you should listen to it, but this one, I got to be honest with you, 2. It wasn't really their best episode. They spoke over each other so much, it drove me nuts half the time. And then of course there wasn't even that much like personal tea in there. It was mainly about like businesses, Black Friday sales, Cyber Monday sales, things like that. So this one, I personally wouldn't really recommend giving a listen, but hopefully the next one is a little bit better. You know, I actually quite like this podcast. I gotta say, you guys, I quite like this podcast. So I'm hoping that next week's episode is a little bit better. But in the meantime, I wanna know, especially your thoughts about Maci snubbing Kail for her Things That Matter brand. And number 2 was about V airing out Isaac having a girlfriend after already promising Vivi that she wasn't gonna tell. And then, you know, not even like telling Kail about it first before revealing it on air. You know, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions about that stuff, and as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.